A storm that should have shattered the station instead bent itself around one impossible survivor, and the only reason it happened was a single human who refused to walk away. Before we begin, tell me where you're watching from. Subscribe to help this channel grow. And now, the story begins. Calyx V, Sector Aurora, 2213. 14th time in a row. Selhira sat in the airlock prep room, her discharge suit already on, helmet resting in her lap. The containment panels on her chest and wrists glowed a faint amber. Warning yellow. Almost dangerous. Through the reinforced glass, she could see Supervisor Ken making excuses to another tech. The man shook his head, suddenly remembered an urgent calibration check, and left. Ken's shoulders sagged. He turned to face her through the glass, lips moving in that familiar shape. Sorry. Maybe tomorrow. Selhira looked down at her reflection in the helmet's curved surface. Pale bluish skin, violet eyes too large for her thin face, white hair pulled back in a simple tail, delicate, fragile-looking, deadly. She whispered to her own reflection, "Another day alone." The Elnir woman stood slowly, began removing the suit. No point keeping it on. The discharge walk wasn't happening. Again. Across the station, in the residential hub, Rafael Costa was lost for the third time in an hour. The signage on Calyx V was apparently designed by someone who hated newcomers. Or maybe just hated humans. Raf turned another corner, found himself facing the same water reclamation unit he'd passed twice already. A four-armed alien watched him with what might have been amusement. "New here?" the alien asked in flawless basic. "That obvious?" Raf replied, trying for humor. "Looking for Sector Aurora maintenance lockers. Wrong level. Up 2, left 3 intersections, then follow the green line." "Thanks. I'll probably still get lost." The alien made a sound that could have been laughter. Probably. 20 minutes later, Raf finally found the locker room. He changed into his work suit, checked his tablet for assignments. First day on Calyx V. Fresh start, no heroics, just basic maintenance work and keeping his head down. The burn scars on his left forearm caught his eye as he sealed the suit. He looked away quickly. He headed to the duty station where Supervisor Ken was updating schedules, looking frustrated. "Costa, right? New external maintenance tech?" "That's me." Ken nodded absently, already moving on to his checklist. Then he paused, looked at Raf with sudden calculation. "You certified for accompanied external walks?" "Yeah. Did it for 3 years on Helion Station." "Good." Ken pointed through the glass wall toward the prep room. "See her?" Raf looked. A small figure was removing a discharge suit, moving with the careful precision of someone trying very hard not to break anything. "The Elnir woman? What about her?" "Selhira. She needs a daily discharge walk. Mandatory medical protocol. Problem is, nobody wants to take her out." Ken's voice dropped. "She's a storm soul. Bioenergy buildup. If she doesn't discharge regularly on the exterior platforms, she could overload." "Overload how?" "Fry half the sector. Maybe more." Ken shrugged. "Nobody knows for sure. Nobody wants to find out. She's safe enough if she discharges properly, but one wrong move, one moment of losing control." Raf watched Selhira fold the suit with meticulous care, her hands trembling slightly. She looked exhausted. Not dangerous, just tired. "How long since her last walk?" 4 days. We've been rotating volunteers, but they keep canceling." Raf found himself moving toward the prep room before his brain caught up with his feet. That old instinct. See someone in trouble? Move toward it, not away. He pushed through the door. Selhira looked up, startled. Her eyes were striking, deep violet with flecks of silver. "Hi," Raf said. "I'm Raphael. Raf. I just started today. Supervisor Ken said you need someone for a discharge walk." She blinked. "You don't have to. I know they told you what I am. They told me you need to do a safety walk and nobody's helping. That's what I heard. I'm dangerous? So's a plasma cutter if you use it wrong. Still gotta use it. He picked up the suit she'd been folding. This yours? Yes, but you don't understand. If I lose control, then we'll make sure you don't. Raph met her eyes. Look, I just got here. I don't know the station politics, don't know who's scared of what. I just know you've got a job to do and you need a partner. So, let's do it. Silhira stared at him like he'd just offered to juggle live grenades. You will want to quit, she said quietly. After today, they all do. Maybe. But that's tomorrow's problem. Raph started pulling on his own external suit. Right now, I'm here, and I'm going with you. For the first time in 14 days, Silhira put her discharge suit back on. Through the glass, Supervisor Ken watched with an expression caught between relief and worry, already calculating the odds of Costa making it back alive. The airlock cycled with a hiss that Silhira had heard hundreds of times, but never like this, never with someone who'd volunteered. The outer door opened to Calyx V's surface. Metal catwalks stretched toward the horizon, illuminated by the massive dark green gas giant that dominated half the sky. Collection arrays and sensor towers rose like a geometric forest around them. The cold hit immediately, even through the suits. Raph felt his breath fog slightly inside his helmet before the system compensated. Stay on the yellow walkway, Silhira said, her voice soft over the comm. The discharge points are every 50 meters. Got it? Raph clipped his safety line to the rail. You do this every day? When I can find someone. She moved carefully, like walking on ice. Usually I can't. They walked in silence for a minute. Raph noticed how she kept her distance, staying almost 2 meters away from him at all times. You don't have to stay so far, he said. Yes, I do. If I discharge accidentally, then I'll get a shock. Probably won't kill me. He kept his tone light. Back on Helion, I touched a live conduit by accident. Threw me 3 meters. Hurt like hell. But I survived. She glanced at him, surprise clear even through the helmet. You're telling me you've been electrocuted before? Everyone makes mistakes. The trick is learning from them. He paused. Well, and not dying from them. That's important too. A small sound came over the comm. It took Raph a moment to realize Silhira was laughing. Barely, but it was there. They reached the first discharge point. Silhira knelt, placed her gloved hands on the metal plates set into the catwalk. The containment panels on her chest flickered, then stabilized. Small arcs of blue-white energy danced between her fingertips and the plates. Raph felt the hair on his arms stand up inside the suit. The discharge point hummed, channeling the energy into the station's collection system. After 30 seconds, Silhira stood. The panels on her suit showed green now. Healthy levels. That's it? For this point, we do 5 total. She hesitated. Your hair is standing up. Yeah, I can feel it. Kinda tingly. He ran a hand over his head through the helmet uselessly. New style? This time the laugh was more genuine. They continued walking. The gas giant rotated slowly overhead, bands of storm systems visible even from this distance, beautiful and hostile in equal measure. Why did you really agree to come? Silhira asked quietly. Raph considered lying. Decided against it. Honestly? I don't know. I saw you sitting there, saw everyone else avoiding you, and it just felt wrong. Like when you see someone drop their groceries and nobody stops to help. I'm not groceries. No. You're a person who needed help and wasn't getting it. He shrugged inside the suit. Maybe I'm just bad at minding my own business. Or maybe you don't scare easily. Oh, I scare. Raph watched another arc dance between her fingers as they approached the second discharge point. I'm just good at doing things anyway. Silhira knelt at the second point. This discharge was stronger. The containment panels on her suit flickered amber briefly before settling back to blue. You're holding more than normal, Raph observed, watching the readouts on his wrist display. 4 days of build-up, it's close to critical. She looked up at him. That's why nobody wanted to come. If I'd gone 1 more day, they'd have sedated me and done an emergency medical discharge. It's unpleasant. Sounds it. He waited while she finished. But we're handling it now. Regular maintenance, right? Keep the systems running smooth. I'm not a system. Figure of speech, sorry. Raph helped her stand, then immediately stepped back when she tensed. Too close? I'm not used to people touching me. Fair enough, I'll keep my distance unless you need help. They walked to the third point in comfortable quiet. Raph found himself enjoying the view despite the cold. The gas giant, the star systems visible in the black above, even the geometric maze of the station itself had a strange beauty. Does it ever get old? He asked. This view? Sometimes. Other times it's the only thing that feels real. Silhira discharged at the third point. Everything inside the domes is artificial, controlled. Out here, it's just what it is. Honest. Exactly. At the fourth point, Silhira's discharge was noticeably less intense. The panels were clearing toward green. Almost done? Raph asked. One more. Then I'll be safe for another day. Safe for the station, you mean? Safe for everyone. She stood, brushed frost from her knees. Including you. Hey, I signed up for this. Literally, like an hour ago. She tilted her head. You won't come back tomorrow. Why not? They never do. Once is enough to satisfy curiosity. After that, they remember what I am. Raph stopped walking. Silhira took a few more steps before realizing he wasn't following. What? She asked. I never asked what you are. I asked what you need. She stared at him through the helmet visors, violet eyes wide. There's a difference, Raph continued. You might be an Aelnir with a Storm Soul core, but you're also someone who needs to take a walk every day and keeps getting stood up. That second part matters more to me. For a long moment, Silhira didn't move. Then very quietly, I've never hurt anyone on purpose. Then we're even. I never wanted to hurt anyone either. It happened anyway, and I'm still here. So are you. They finished the walk at the fifth discharge point. When Silhira stood this time, all her panels showed solid green. Safe. Tomorrow? Raph asked as they approached the airlock. You won't want to. You'll remember. Same time tomorrow? Silhira's breath caught. You're serious? Completely. I'll be here. He waited for her to enter the airlock first. See you tomorrow, Silhira. The next day, when Silhira arrived at the prep room, she didn't let herself hope. But Raph was already there, suit half on, offering that same easy smile. Ready? He asked. Silhira felt something crack in her chest, something that had been frozen for a very long time. Yes, she whispered. I'm ready. Raph woke on his fifth night at Calyx V with his heart trying to punch through his ribs. The dream again, always the same one. The power coupling exploding, Chen's scream cut short, Martinez thrown backward into the bulkhead, and Raph, standing there with his hand still on the panel he'd been adjusting, the panel that had made everything go wrong. He sat up in his narrow bunk, breathing hard. 0300 station time. Too early to get up, too late to go back to sleep. His tablet chirped. Message from Dr. Amita Rao, the medical supervisor. She wanted to see him before his next walk with Silhira. That was fine. He needed coffee anyway. The walks had become routine now. 5 days, 5 successful discharges. Silhira talked more each time, though she still kept her careful distance. They'd discussed everything from station food to the geology of the moon below them. Yesterday she'd asked about his accent. He'd told her about growing up in New São Paulo, about his grandmother teaching him to make brigadeiro, about the green hills he'd probably never see again. She'd listened like every word mattered. Dr. Rao's office was small but neat, filled with plants that somehow thrived under grow lights. The doctor herself was in her 50s, with gray threading through dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. Sit, please, Mr. Costa. Raph, nobody calls me Mr. except my mother when I'm in trouble. She smiled slightly. Raph, then, I wanted to thank you for volunteering with Silhira. It's made a significant difference in her stress levels. She's easy to work with, no complaints from me. That's good to hear. Dr. Rao pulled up a file on her screen. I wanted to make sure you understand what you're dealing with. The official explanation is basic, but there are details most people don't see. I'm listening. She turned the screen so he could read it. The file showed Selhira's designation, Asset E447, status experimental, risk level, moderate high, protocol in case of catastrophic discharge, immediate sedation and isolation. If sedation fails, termination recommended. Raph felt something cold settle in his stomach. Termination, he said flatly. They mean exactly what you think. Dr. Rao's voice was careful. The corporation views her as a resource with an acceptable failure rate. If she becomes uncontrollable, she's classified as defective equipment. She's not equipment. I know. That's why I fought for the external discharge protocol. It gives her a measure of control, a routine, a purpose beyond being a living battery. The doctor leaned forward. But you need to understand the stakes. If something goes catastrophically wrong during one of your walks, the response will be extreme. Raph thought about Selhira's careful movements, her constant self-monitoring, the way she flinched when anyone got too close. She lives with this every day, he said, knowing one mistake could get her killed. Yes, that's... He searched for a word strong enough, couldn't find one. It's why most people won't go near her, Dr. Rao finished quietly. Fear is understandable, but thank you for seeing past it. At the maintenance lockers, Raph found Marlowe waiting. The senior tech leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Costa, got a minute? Sure. Word of advice, the hazard pay for walking with the Storm Soul? It's 12 credits a week. Barely covers a decent beer. Marlowe's smile didn't reach his eyes. Not worth dying for. I'm not doing it for the money. Right. You're doing it because you're new and want to make a good impression. I get it. But people are talking. The rookie who's dumb enough to walk with the bomb every day. Raph felt his jaw tighten. Selhira's not a bomb. Sure she is. Pretty rapping, but still explosive. Marlowe pushed off the wall. Just saying you don't have to be a hero. Nobody expects it. After he left, Raph stood there trying to push down the anger. 12 credits. They valued Selhira's life and his risk at 12 credits per week. That evening's walk was quiet. Selhira seemed to sense his mood. At the third discharge point, she finally asked, Is something wrong? Just station politics. Nothing important. People are talking about you, aren't they? About us. Some. Don't worry about it. They think you're foolish, or desperate, or have some ulterior motive. She didn't look at him while she spoke. I've heard all the theories. What do you think? She paused. I think I don't understand why you keep coming back. That's fair. I'm not sure I understand it either. Raph watched the gas giant rotate above them. Maybe I'm trying to prove something, to myself more than anyone else. What are you trying to prove? He almost didn't answer. Then, that I can keep someone safe, that I won't mess up again. Selhira looked up at him. Again? And Raph found himself telling her. About Helion Station. About Chen and Martinez. About the panel adjustment he'd been making. The one that should have been routine. The one that had somehow overloaded 3 connected systems and killed 2 good people. The inquiry cleared me, he said. System fault, they said. Nothing I could have predicted. But they weren't there. They didn't see Chen's face right before. He stopped, breathed. Selhira stood slowly from the discharge point. For once she didn't maintain her careful distance. She moved close enough that he could see the violet of her eyes clearly. It wasn't your fault, she said. You don't know that. No, but I know what it feels like to be afraid your existence might kill someone. Her voice was soft. I live with that every single day, and I know that if you were careless, if you were reckless, you wouldn't check every reading 3 times before we start. You wouldn't position yourself to take the first hit if I discharge wrong. You wouldn't care about keeping me safe. Maybe I'm just paranoid now. Maybe paranoia is just care wearing uncomfortable shoes. She reached out, stopped before touching him. Thank you for telling me. Why are you thanking me? Because now I understand. You're not here because you're fearless. You're here because you're afraid, and you came anyway. They finished the walk in a different kind of silence, more comfortable, more honest. Back inside, Dr. Rao was waiting. Raf, Salira, I need to tell you something. There's a major magnetic storm predicted in 3 days. They're talking about suspending external activities. I can handle 3 days inside, Salira said quickly. Not 3 days. They want to sedate you and do a medical discharge. Involuntary. Salira's face went pale. No, those hurt. They leave me sick for days. I'm fighting it, Dr. Rao said. But corporate is pushing back. They don't trust the regular protocol during major storms. Raf looked at Salira's frightened eyes. Then we'll make sure they see it works, he said. Whatever it takes. Walk number 12 started like all the others, except for the amber alert on Raf's display showing a minor magnetic disturbance approaching. We can delay this, he offered as they suited up. No. Salira's voice was firm. We need to show them I can handle irregular conditions, otherwise they'll sedate me at the first sign of the big storm. Okay, but we stay on high alert. Any problems, we head back immediately. Agreed. The catwalk felt different today. The air had a charged quality even through the suits. The gas giant above them showed increased storm activity, lightning flickering through the cloud bands. At the second discharge point, Salira knelt as usual. But this time, the energy release was more intense. Bright blue-white arcs snapped and crackled. Her containment panels flickered from green to amber to red, and back again. Salira? It's fine. Just more intense. The magnetic field is already affecting me. Raf watched his sensor readings spike. Your discharge rate is elevated by 40%. I know. I can feel it. She breathed carefully. Almost done. Then her control slipped. For maybe 3 seconds, the energy stopped channeling properly. It arced outward instead of down. One tendril reached Raf's suit, found a connection point where his glove met his sleeve. The shock hit like a hammer. Raf's arm jerked, his whole body went rigid, and he tasted copper. Then it was over, the energy finding its proper path again. He staggered back, gasping. No! Salira was on her feet, panels flashing red. No! I'm okay. Raf flexed his hand, tingling but functional. Just surprised me. You're not okay. I hurt you. Her voice broke. She was backing away, hands up like she could somehow push the reality away. This is why nobody comes. This is why I shouldn't. Salira, stop. Aw, I could have killed you. But you didn't. Raf moved closer slowly. You lost control for 3 seconds. Then you caught it again. That's what matters. 3 seconds is all it takes. And you got it back. You felt it slipping and you grabbed control again. That's impressive. She was shaking now, her whole body trembling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If you want to quit, I understand. I'll tell them it was my fault. I'll say, hey. Raf reached out, remembered himself, stopped. Can I come closer? Why would you want to? Because you're spiraling and I want to help. She hesitated, then nodded minutely. Raf stepped close, looked down at her through their helmet visors. Her eyes were bright with tears, the violet almost glowing. Listen to me. You didn't hurt me badly. You felt yourself losing control and you pulled it back. That's not failure. That's success under pressure. I shocked you. Yeah, and my arm's tingling, and I'll probably have interesting hair for a few hours. He smiled. But I'm still here, still standing, still your walking partner. You should run. I'm stubborn like that. A small broken sound escaped her. Then she was crying properly. Tears running down her face inside the helmet, shoulders shaking with sobs held back too long. I'm so tired, she whispered. Tired of being scared. Tired of being alone. Tired of being dangerous. You're not alone right now? You'll leave eventually. Everyone does. Maybe. Raph carefully, slowly, took her gloved hands in his. The containment panels between them glowed softly, stable now. But not today. Today we finish this walk. Tomorrow we do another one. The day after, same thing. And we keep going until one of us has a better idea. She looked down at their joined hands. I could hurt you again. Life's full of maybes. Maybe doesn't mean no. They stood there for a long moment, the gas giant rotating overhead, the charged air humming around them. Finally, Selhira nodded. We should finish. Yeah, we should. The remaining discharge points went smoothly. Selhira's control was almost perfect now, like the earlier slip had actually improved her focus. Back inside, she removed her helmet with shaking hands. Your hair really is standing up, she said and laughed. It sounded painful, like she'd forgotten how. Raph ran a hand through his hair. It crackled faintly. New fashion? Very avant-garde. It looks ridiculous. Thank you. I try my best. Dr. Rao met them in the prep room. Her eyes went immediately to Raph's diagnostic readings. What happened out there? Minor discharge, Raph said before Selhira could speak. Well within parameters. We handled it. His readings show that I got a small shock, and we continued the protocol successfully. He looked at Dr. Rao steadily. That's what gets reported, right? Successful discharge under irregular magnetic conditions? The doctor studied them both for a long moment. Then, yes, that's exactly what gets reported. She turned to leave, paused. Selhira, you did well today, better than the simulations predicted. After Dr. Rao left, Selhira sat heavily on the bench. You covered for me. I reported what happened. We had a successful walk, that's the truth. The corporation will want details. Let them want. Raph peeled off his gloves. The tingling was already fading. We showed them you can handle difficult conditions with the right support. That's worth documenting. Why are you doing this? Which part? All of it. The walks, the protection, the kindness? Her voice was very small. I don't understand why you're not afraid. Raph sat beside her, careful to leave space between them. I am afraid, he admitted. Every single walk I'm afraid something will go wrong, that I'll make a mistake, that someone will get hurt. He looked at his hands. But I'm more afraid of what happens if I let fear make my decisions. I tried that after Helion. Tried to play it safe, avoid risks, never stick my neck out. And you know what? I hated who I was becoming. So you came here. So I came here. Fresh start, new station, same old Raph trying to figure out how to be brave and careful at the same time. He glanced at her. And then I met you. I'm not making it easier. No. But you're making it matter. He stood, offered a hand to help her up. She took it. Through the gloves, no shock at all. Just contact. Same time tomorrow? He asked. Selhira smiled. It was tentative, uncertain, but real. Are you afraid of me? She asked. Honestly? Yes. A little. But you're coming anyway. Absolutely. Her smile steadied. Then yes, same time tomorrow. After she left, Raph examined his arm where the shock had hit. Minor burn mark, nothing serious. It would heal. Some things were worth a little tingling. On Walk 16, Raph made a mistake. He activated his suit's entertainment system, forgetting his helmet speakers were on external broadcast. Soft guitar music drifted into the comm channel. Jazz, complex, and wandering. What is that? Selhira asked, surprised out of her usual quiet focus. Oh, sorry, I forgot. He reached to turn it off. No, don't. She paused at the third discharge point. It's strange, not unpleasant, just chaotic? It's bossa nova, old earth music, Brazilian. He smiled. My grandmother played it constantly, drove my mother crazy, but I loved it. Play more? So he did. They finished the walk with Juan Gilberto accompanying them, and Celira's containment panels showed the steadiest readings he'd seen yet. "Music helps you," Raf observed as they returned. "It's distracting, in a good way, like it gives my mind something to hold on to besides the energy." She tilted her head. "It's comforting chaos." That's actually a perfect description of bossa nova. That evening, Raf couldn't sleep again. Not nightmares this time, just restless thoughts. He pulled up files on Aelnir, started reading. The information was sanitized, corporate approved. But between the lines, if you knew how to read them, the truth was stark. The Aelnir had been recruited into energy roles. Young ones, particularly those showing storm soul potential, were identified early and separated from families for specialized training. Translation? Taken. He found himself at Selhira's door, knocked before he could reconsider. She opened it, wearing a simple gray shift, hair loose around her shoulders. Without the suit, she looked even more delicate and very surprised. "Raf, is something wrong? I just read about Aelnir recruitment protocols." He held up his tablet. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like." She sighed, stepped back to let him in. Her quarters were small but neat. Personal items were sparse, a few crystals on a shelf, a plant struggling to grow under a light, nothing that said, "This is home." "What does it look like to you?" she asked quietly. "Like they take children from their families." "They do." She sat on her bunk. "I was 14. The testers came to our colony, scanned everyone for bioenergy potential. Mine was off the charts. They called it exceptional. My parents called it dangerous. The corporation called it valuable. They gave your parents a choice? Sign me over or lose corporate licensing for the entire colony. 5,000 people's livelihoods versus one dangerous daughter." Her voice was flat, affectless. It wasn't really a choice. Raf sat on the floor across from her, giving her space. "Where did they take you?" "Training facility on Kepler Station. They called it school. It was a lab." She pulled her knees up, wrapped her arms around them. "They wanted to know our limits. How much energy we could store, how fast we could discharge, how much control we had. They pushed until we broke, then pushed more. That's 8 of us in my group. 4 didn't survive the first year." Her eyes were distant. "Not from cruelty, from accidents, loss of control. One girl discharged into another student during a stress test. They both died." "Celira?" "Only after that, I learned to be very, very careful. Never too happy, never too sad, never too anything. Flat, controlled, useful." She looked at him. "They sent me here because I was stable enough to be an asset but too powerful to risk on anything important. A controlled experiment in whether storm souls could function in general population." "You're not an experiment." "That's what I'm designated as. Asset E447. The E is for experimental." She smiled without humor. "I looked at my own file once. You know what the notes said? Subject shows concerning attachment to life. Recommend emotional suppression protocols." They wanted to make you not care about living? They wanted to make me not care about anything. Dead things are easier to control. She stood, moved to the window. The gas giant filled the view. "Sometimes I think they succeeded. I went 2 years without feeling anything. Just existing, discharging, being useful." Raf didn't know what to say. What could you say to someone explaining how they'd been systematically dehumanized? "Then you showed up," Selhira continued, "and you treated me like I was normal, like my biggest problem was bad scheduling, not being a walking weapon, like I deserved basic courtesy." She turned to face him. "And I started feeling things again. Hope, gratitude, fear that you'd leave. It's terrifying. Feeling things, caring what happens." Her voice cracked slightly. "They use me as a battery, Raf. You treat me like a person. Do you understand how dangerous that is for me?" "Dangerous how?" "Because when you leave eventually, when you find something better or get reassigned or just get tired of the risk, I'll have to go back to being nothing. And now I'll know what I'm missing. She wrapped her arms around herself. It would have been kinder to leave me alone. Raph stood slowly. I'm not leaving. You will. Everyone does. Maybe. He moved closer. But maybe I'm too stubborn for my own good. Maybe I'm exactly the kind of idiot who commits to something and doesn't know when to quit. This isn't something to commit to. I'm a job. A hazard. You're the person who laughs at my terrible jokes, who walks a little closer every day, who likes chaotic music because it gives your mind something to hold besides fear. He stopped in front of her. You're Silhira, not Asset, whatever. Just Silhira. She stared at him. They used me as a battery. They did. Past tense. Right now, right here. You're someone I walk with every day. Someone I'm learning to know. Someone He hesitated. Someone I'm starting to care about. The admission hung in the air between them. You shouldn't, she whispered. Too late. For a long moment, neither moved. Then, very carefully, Silhira reached out and touched his hand. Skin to skin, no gloves. The lightest possible contact. A tiny static spark jumped between them. They both felt it. She jerked back. Sorry, It's okay. Raph flexed his fingers, smiling. Just static. Normal human static that happens when it's dry. You sure? Positive. Unless normal humans are suddenly storm souls? She laughed, surprised. No, that's just static. See? We're fine. They stood there, both suddenly unsure. Then Raph's comm chirped, Dr. Rao. The storm, he said, reading the message. It's been upgraded, arriving in 2 days, not 3. Silhira's face went pale. They'll sedate me tomorrow. Not if we show them an alternative. Raph was already thinking, what if we did an extended discharge tomorrow? Longer walk, more points, bring your levels down further than normal? That's not protocol. So we write a new protocol, one that works. He looked at her. Unless you want the medical discharge? No. But asking for protocol changes, going against corporate procedure, they could use it as reason to reclassify me as non-compliant. Or we could give Dr. Rao data showing you're capable of advanced self-management with proper support. Raph pulled up his tablet. Let's write a proposal. Tonight. Present it first thing tomorrow. Show them a better way. You really think they'll listen? I think Dr. Rao will fight for it, and good data is hard to argue with. He sat at her small desk. Come on, help me write this. What's your maximum safe discharge rate? Slowly, Silhira joined him. They worked through the night, writing protocols, citing medical studies, building a case. Somewhere around 0300, Raph made tea. Somewhere around 0400, Silhira started believing it might actually work. By morning, they had a proposal and a plan. And for the first time since arriving at Calyx V, Silhira felt something she'd almost forgotten. Possibility. Dr. Rao read their proposal in silence. Her office felt smaller than usual, the air heavy with tension. Finally, she looked up. This is good work, solid data, reasonable precautions. Under normal circumstances, I'd approve it immediately. But, Raph asked, but corporate already sent their decision 10 minutes ago. She turned her screen around. Protocol read, experimental asset stress testing. Subject, asset E447, Silhira, Alnir. Procedure, controlled discharge during magnetic storm conditions to establish maximum operational parameters. Authorization level, executive override. Medical objections noted but superseded by research value. Raph felt his blood turn cold. Stress testing? During the storm? They want to measure her absolute limits. Dr. Rao's voice was tight with controlled fury. See how much she can handle before catastrophic failure. Failure? Silhira's voice was barely audible. They mean death, or permanent damage to your nervous system, or burnout of your bioenergy core, or any number of outcomes that end with you being non-functional. Dr. Rao stood, paced. I've been arguing against this for hours. They won't listen. Research opportunity, they say. Valuable data for Elnir management across the quadrant. She's not a data point, Raf said. To them, she is. A very expensive one they want to maximize returns on. Celira was shaking. If I refuse? Non-compliance. They'll classify you as a failed experiment and implement disposal protocols. Dr. Rao's voice broke slightly. I'm sorry, Celira. I tried. Disposal. Raf tasted bile. You mean kill her? Humanely, they'll say. Painlessly, they'll promise. The doctor sat heavily. I've seen the protocols. It's a lie, but it's the lie they tell themselves. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Raf asked, what if we ran? Both women looked at him. Serious question. What if we just left? Stole a shuttle, headed out system, disappeared. They'd hunt us, Celira said. Corporate doesn't let assets just walk away. I'm rated for small craft piloting. We could make it to the nearest independent station, claim asylum. I can't, Celira's voice was flat. My core is registered. They can track the bioenergy signature across 3 light-years. We'd be caught in days. Then we fight, legally. Get media involved, file complaints with colonial oversight? Doctor, Rao shook her head. Corporate owns the oversight committee in this sector. There's no authority here but them. Raf looked between them. So we just give up? Let them kill her for science? I don't see another option. Dr. Rao looked at Celira. I'm so sorry. Celira stood. She moved to the window, placed her hand against the glass. The containment panel on her wrist glowed softly. I've been waiting for this since they sent me here, she said quietly. Knew eventually they'd decide I was more valuable as data than as a worker. At least I got 16 walks first. 16 days of feeling almost normal. She glanced back at Raf. 17, if you count the one we won't get to do. Stop! Raf's voice was hard. Stop talking like you're already dead. I am, though. Just waiting for the paperwork to catch up. No, there's always... He stopped, thinking. Dr. Rao, what's the timeline? Storm hits in 38 hours. They want her in the lab 6 hours before that for prep. So we have 32 hours. To do what? Celira turned from the window. Raf, there's no escape. There's no appeal. There's just acceptance. I don't do acceptance well. He was pacing now, mind racing. What if you survived the test? What if you handled the storm discharge perfectly, gave them their data, and came out fine? It's designed to push past my limits. That's the point. But what if you had help? What if someone was there to anchor you, guide you, keep you from burning out? He looked at Dr. Rao. The protocol. Does it specify she has to be alone? It specifies controlled laboratory conditions. The exterior catwalks are controlled. We monitor them constantly. If we modified the protocol to be a field test instead of lab work, they won't allow it, Dr. Rao said, but her expression said she was thinking about it. They might, if we frame it right. Field test gives them more realistic data. Laboratory conditions are artificial. If they want to know operational parameters, actual operational conditions matter. Raf was talking faster now. And if I'm there as the tech support, standard safety protocol, they can't object without admitting they're planning for her to die. Celira was staring at him. You want to be there when I potentially explode? I want to be there to make sure you don't. Raf, if I lose control during a storm discharge, you'll die. Not injured. Dead. Maybe. He met her eyes. But maybe not. Maybe with the right support, the right guidance, you channel it perfectly. We've been practicing for 17 walks. We know each other's rhythms. We work. This is insane. Possibly. Probably. He smiled grimly. But it's a chance. And a chance is better than acceptance. Dr. Rao was pulling up files, running calculations. If I redesigned the test parameters for field conditions, showed equivalent data collection capabilities, emphasized the research value of real-world performance metrics. She looked up. It might work. Corporate loves data. Better data might trump their laboratory preference. We have 32 hours, Raf said. Let's make it count. They worked through the day and into the night. Dr. Rao drafted proposals. Raf designed safety protocols. Celera provided technical specifications on her discharge patterns. Around midnight, Marlowe appeared in the medbay. Heard what's happening, he said without preamble. With the storm test. Then you heard we're busy, Raf replied, not looking up from his calculations. I also heard you're trying to get approval for field testing instead of lab work. Marlowe shifted uncomfortably. Look, I've been a bastard about Selhira, about you walking with her, jealousy mostly. But this, what they're planning? It's wrong. Glad you noticed. I can help. I've got seniority, connections in engineering. If you need equipment modifications or priority processing for your proposals, I can expedite. Raf looked up, surprised. Why? Because she doesn't deserve to die for corporate curiosity. And because you were right. She's not a bomb. She's just someone who needs help. Marlowe looked at Selhira. Sorry I didn't see it sooner. Selhira studied him, then nodded. Help us then. Marlowe did. By morning they had a complete counter-proposal. Field testing, comprehensive safety measures, equivalent data collection, and superior research value. Dr. Rao submitted it with her full endorsement and Marlowe's technical approval. They waited. Hours crawled past. The storm loomed closer, visible now as increased electrical activity in the gas giant's atmosphere. Finally, at 1400 station time, the response came. Proposal approved with modifications. Field testing authorized. Safety Tech Costa assigned as mandatory support. Discharge must reach 400% normal levels for research validity. All data to be transmitted real-time. Medical team on standby. Dr. Rao read it aloud, her voice shaking. They approved it, with the caveat that you have to discharge at 4 times normal levels. That's... Selhira looked at her readouts. That might kill me anyway. But it might not, Raf said. And not is better than definitely. She looked at him. Really looked. Why are you doing this? You could walk away. Claim you won't participate in unsafe testing. They can't force you. I could. He moved closer. But then you'd be alone. And I said I wouldn't leave you alone. I could kill you. You keep saying that. I keep not caring. You should care. You should run. You should... I'm going with you, Raf said firmly. Tomorrow, when that storm hits, we walk out there together. We face it together. And we come back together. He took her hands. I'm going with you, Selhira. All the way, however it ends. She was crying now, silent tears tracking down her face. This is stupid, reckless, completely human. Yeah, he smiled. It really is. The storm was 20 hours away. Neither of them could sleep. At 200, Raf found Selhira in the observation lounge, watching the gas giant. Lightning storms crawled across its surface like luminous serpents. Hey, he said softly. She didn't turn. Hey yourself. Figured I'd find you here. Couldn't stay in my quarters. Too quiet. Too much thinking. She finally looked at him. You should be resting. Tomorrow is going to be... Yeah. He sat beside her, close but not touching. I couldn't sleep either. Kept running scenarios. Me too. Most of them end badly. Some don't, though. The optimistic ones. She smiled slightly. You're rubbing off on me. They sat in silence for a while, watching the storm grow. The observation lounge was empty except for them, the lights dimmed for night cycle. Can I ask you something? Selhira said finally. Anything? Why do you keep coming back? Not just the walks, all of it. The research, the proposals, the fight with corporate. You've only known me 3 weeks. Why risk everything for someone you barely know? Raf considered the question. Deserved honesty. At first, I didn't think about it. Saw someone who needed help, helped. That's just reflex. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. But then I kept coming back because you reminded me why I became a tech in the first place, to keep people safe, to solve problems. After Helion, I forgot that. I was so focused on not making mistakes that I stopped trying to do anything good. I'm not a therapy project. No, you're the person who makes terrible jokes seem funny and who listens when I talk about my grandmother's cooking and who tries so hard to be perfect that it hurts to watch. He looked at her. You're Celera. And somewhere in these 3 weeks, you stopped being someone I was helping and started being someone I care about. She was very still. That's dangerous for both of us. I know. If tomorrow goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, I need you to promise me something. She turned to face him fully. Promise you'll get out. If I start to lose control, if it looks like I'm going to cascade, you run. Don't try to be heroic. Just survive. I can't promise that. Raph, no, listen. I get what you're asking. You want to know someone will be okay if you're not. But I can't promise to leave you alone out there. It goes against everything I am. He reached out, took her hand. No gloves. Just skin and the tiniest spark of static. I'm going with you tomorrow. Not to the airlock. Not to the catwalk. With you. Whatever happens, we face it together. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, well, I contain multitudes of stupid. She laughed despite herself. Then her face crumpled. I'm terrified. Me too. What if I can't control it? What if 400% is too much? What if I hurt you or kill you or... Then we'll deal with it. But Celera, listen. You've been managing this your whole life. Under stress, under pressure, under impossible conditions. You've survived laboratories and testing and being treated like equipment. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. Huh? Strong people rarely do. They just keep going anyway. He squeezed her hand gently. And tomorrow you won't be doing it alone. I'll be right there, anchoring you, reminding you who you are. Who am I? Someone who deserves to live, someone who matters, someone who isn't defined by what she can do or how much energy she carries, but by how she treats people and how hard she fights to be gentle in a world that wants her to be a weapon. Celera's tears fell freely now. That's a lot to live up to. You're already living it. She moved closer, hesitant. Can I? Raph understood. He opened his arms. She leaned in, resting her head on his shoulder. The position was awkward, unfamiliar to both of them, but right somehow. A small static discharge jumped between them. They both felt it. Sorry, she whispered. Don't be. It's just static. Normal people's static. He rested his cheek against her hair. You know what I realized? Every time you worry about shocking me, about being dangerous, you're in complete control. The fear keeps you focused. That's exhausting. I know, but tomorrow you won't have to do it alone. When you feel it building, you tell me. When you start to slip, I'll be there. We'll manage it together. They sat like that for a long time. Eventually, Celera asked, Tell me about Earth. The real one, not the sanitized corporate version. So Raph did. He told her about rain that fell without schedule, about oceans that touched horizons, about cities where millions lived together in chaotic harmony. He told her about his grandmother's kitchen, the smell of coffee and fresh bread, the sound of samba drifting from neighbors' windows. Sounds messy, Celera said. It is, gloriously messy. I'd like to see messy someday. Controlled gets old. When this is over, when you're reclassified as something other than experimental, maybe we'll put in for a transfer. Find somewhere messy. You'd leave Calyx V? For the right reason? Yeah, I'm portable. He smiled. And apparently I'm attached to this annoying Elnir who keeps worrying about frying me. She pulled back to look at him. We just met. 3 weeks ago. Some people you know for years and never really see. Others you know for weeks and can't imagine not knowing. He He brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. Tiny spark, but neither flinched. "You're the second kind." "This is crazy. We barely know each other. Tomorrow might kill us. And you're talking about transfers and hope." "Yeah. Sue me for optimism." Selhira laughed again, this time with less pain in it. "You're impossible." "I've been told that." At 0400, Raph made coffee. At 0430, Selhira taught him a simple Elnir game with stones. At 0500, they played rock, paper, scissors to see who'd get the last protein bar. Raph won. He split it with her anyway. At 0600, Dr. Rao found them in the observation lounge, Selhira asleep against Raph's shoulder, Raph dozing with his head tipped back against the wall. She didn't wake them. Let them have this moment. At 700, the alarm sounded. The storm had accelerated. 18 hours had become 12. Raph woke first. Selhira stirred a moment later. "Time?" she asked groggily. "Time to suit up," Raph replied. She sat up straight, all softness vanishing into focus. "Okay, let's do this." But before they stood, she caught his hand one more time. "Thank you," she said, "for seeing me, for staying, for being stupid enough to care." "Anytime." He smiled. "I mean, hopefully not anytime, because I'd like to not do life-threatening storm management regularly, but you know what I mean." She kissed his cheek. Quick, chaste, terrified. "For luck," she said. "For luck," he agreed. They walked to the prep room together. Dr. Rao was waiting with modified suits, updated containment panels, real-time monitoring equipment. Marlowe was there too, helping with setup. He nodded at them both. "Gear's ready. I've triple-checked everything. You've got the best equipment we have." "Thank you," Selhira said. "Meaning it. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you both come back." He looked at Raph. "Keep her safe." "We'll keep each other safe." Thought the storm was visible now through the observation windows. Green and violet lightning, magnetic waves that made instruments flicker. Selhira put on her suit. The modified containment panels glowed brighter than usual, reinforced for the higher discharge levels. Raph suited up beside her. Their eyes met through the prep room glass. "Ready?" he asked. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." "That's the spirit." He sealed his helmet. "Let's go save your life." The airlock doors opened. The storm waited. The catwalk felt alive under their feet. The magnetic storm's outer edges were already affecting the station's systems. Lights flickered. Metal hummed with induced current. "Readings?" Dr. Rao's voice came through the comm, tight with tension. "Magnetic flux increasing," Raph reported. "Selhira's core is responding. Panels showing amber already." "That's normal for these conditions. Selhira, how do you feel?" "Like there's lightning under my skin." Her voice was steady despite the words. "But controlled, so far." They moved toward the first modified discharge point. Marlowe and his team had worked through the night, upgrading the collection arrays to handle 4 times normal capacity. The equipment gleamed under the storm-lit sky. "First discharge point in 30 meters, Raph said. "We're taking this slow. No rushing." "Agreed." Selhira's breathing was measured, careful. "The storm is pulling at me, like it's trying to sync with my core." "Is that dangerous?" "I don't know. It's never happened before." Inside the medical bay, Dr. Rao monitored 12 screens simultaneously. Selhira's biometrics, energy readings, environmental data, storm progression. Everything feeding into real-time analysis. Marlowe stood beside her, watching the external cameras. "They're moving well, coordinated." "They've practiced." Dr. Rao's hands were tight on her tablet. "But nothing like this. Nobody has." On screen, Selhira knelt at the first discharge point. She placed her hands on the upgraded collectors. Her containment panels flared bright blue. The discharge began. Energy poured out of her, more than Raph had ever seen. The collectors glowed white-hot, channeling it into the storage systems. Arcs of electricity danced up the towers, dissipating into shielded collectors. 200% of normal, Dr. Rao announced. Collectors holding. Selhira? Raf asked. I'm okay. It's intense, but manageable. Her voice strained slightly. Moving to second point. They progressed along the catwalk. The storm grew closer, visible now as a wall of roiling magnetic energy approaching from the gas giant's shadow. Lightning branched through the charged clouds in patterns that seemed almost alive. At the second point, Selhira's discharge jumped to 250%. The collectors screamed with the load, but held. Marlowe's upgrades are working, Dr. Rao said, relief evident. System stable. In the engineering bay, Marlowe allowed himself a small smile. Then he checked the projections and the smile faded. The storm's accelerating. It'll hit before they reach the fifth point. Can they abort? Not safely. She's too charged now. Stopping would cause internal cascade. He pulled up the catwalk map. They need to reach point 4 at minimum, preferably 5. How long? Storm hits in 8 minutes. They need 12 to reach 5. Dr. Rao closed her eyes briefly. Then, Raf, Selhira, we have a timing problem. Raf listened to the update, felt his stomach drop. So we're going to be on the catwalk when it hits. Yes, I'm sorry. We miscalculated the acceleration. Selhira stood from the second discharge point. Her panels showed amber with red flickers. How bad? You'll be at about 70% capacity when the storm arrives. The magnetic flux will push you the rest of the way, whether you're ready or not. For a moment, nobody spoke. The storm rumbled in the distance. A sound felt more than heard. Selhira, Raf asked quietly. Your call. She looked at the approaching storm, then at him. Her eyes were bright with fear but steady. We keep going. If we abort now, I cascade inside the dome. At least out here, I'm pointed away from people. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. She started toward the third point. Come on, we have 8 minutes. They moved faster now, urgency lending speed. At the third point, Selhira's discharge hit 300%. The collectors, overloaded briefly, had to be reset. 5 minutes to impact, Dr. Rao warned. We're not going to make 5 points, Raf said, calculating distances. I know. We'll do 4. It'll have to be enough. Selhira was running now, as fast as the suit allowed. They reached the fourth point with 3 minutes to spare. Selhira knelt, began discharge. The collectors roared with the load, pushed to their absolute limits. 360%, Dr. Rao reported. You're almost there. Another 40% and... The storm hit. It slammed into them like a physical force. The magnetic flux spiked, sensors overloading across the board. The catwalk's emergency lights died, leaving only the storm's electric glow. Selhira screamed. Her containment panels flared from amber to red to white, overwhelmed in seconds. Raf! Dr. Rao's voice panicked. Her core is spiking. She's going to overload. Raf saw it happening. Selhira's body rigid, energy building beyond control. The collectors unable to channel it fast enough. In seconds, she discharged in all directions. The dome, the station, everything in range would be hit. He threw himself forward, wrapped his arms around her from behind. Raf, no! Dr. Rao screamed. You'll be killed! Selhira, listen to me! He held her tight, anchoring her physically. You can do this. The energy wants out? Let it out. But UP. Not around. Up into the storm. Feed it back to where it came from. I can't. Too much. Yes, you can. You've been holding back your whole life. Stop holding back. Let it all out. Just aim it. I'll kill you. Then we die together. But I'm not letting go. He pressed his helmet against hers, looked into her terrified eyes. Use the sky, not me. You can do this. I believe in you. In the medical bay, every alarm was screaming. Doctor. Rao watched in horror as the readings went off the charts. She's at 500%, 600. This is impossible. Marlowe grabbed her arm. Look at what she's doing. On the screens, something extraordinary was happening. Selhira had stopped fighting the energy. She'd embraced it. And with Raph anchoring her, providing a physical and emotional center, she was directing it. Upward. A column of blue-white energy exploded from her body, shooting straight up into the storm. It punched through the magnetic clouds, creating a channel. The storm's own energy, instead of dissipating across the station, was being drawn into that channel, funneled through Selhira, and redirected into the collection arrays. She turned herself into a lightning rod. 700%, Dr. Rao whispered. 800. The collectors shouldn't be able to handle this. They should be exploding. Look at the grid, Marlowe pointed. The emergency collectors, the backup systems, even the mining arrays, they're all activating automatically. She's feeding power to the entire station. It was true. Every energy collection system on Calyx V was drawing from Selhira's discharge. The station's power reserves, critically low from the approaching storm, were rapidly filling. Green lights appeared across the board. She's not just surviving, Dr. Rao said in awe. She's saving us. On the catwalk, Raph held Selhira as energy poured through her. He felt the discharge around them, felt his suit systems overload and shut down, felt the raw power of it, but he didn't let go. You've got this, he whispered. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere, Selhira's voice barely audible. Raph! I know I'm here with you, always. The discharge lasted 90 seconds. It felt like 90 hours. When it finally subsided, Selhira collapsed. Raph went down with her, still holding on. For a moment, neither moved. Then Selhira stirred. Raph? Yeah. His voice was hoarse. Still here. You should be dead. Apparently, I'm too stubborn to die. He managed to sit up, though his limbs felt like water. You did it. You channeled the whole damn storm. We did it. She turned to look at him. Her eyes were exhausted but clear. You didn't let go. Told you I wouldn't. In the medical bay, cheers erupted. Dr. Rao was crying, laughing, frantically checking readings. They're alive. Both alive. And the station. Look at the power reserves. Marlowe was already on the comm. Medical team to external access point 4. Both subjects alive and conscious. Repeat. Both alive. As the emergency crews rushed out to retrieve them, Selhira and Raph sat on the catwalk, watching the storm continue overhead. They'd created a channel through it, a path that was still glowing faintly. Did we just, Selhira asked, save the station, prove your worth, and probably give corporate the best research data they've gotten in a decade? Raph nodded. Yeah, we did. I don't feel like a hero. Heroes rarely do. They just feel tired. He squeezed her hand. Through the gloves, no shock. Just warmth. But you did it, Selhira. You turned the most dangerous thing about you into the thing that saved everyone. We did it, she corrected. You stayed. You anchored me. You believed I could do it even when I didn't. Well, Raph smiled tiredly. That's what walking partners do. The medical team arrived. They were loaded onto gurneys, checked for injuries, rushed back inside. Through it all, neither let go of the other's hand. Later, Dr. Rao would tell them that Selhira had peaked at 920% of normal capacity, that she'd channeled enough energy to power the station for 3 days. That corporate was calling it a breakthrough in El-Nir research. But in that moment, all that mattered was this. They'd survived. Together. The medical bay was chaos. Doctors shouted readings, nurses rushed equipment, alarms competed for attention. Through it all, Raph refused to be separated from Selhira. Sir, we need to examine you independently. No. His voice was hoarse but firm. I stay with her. Dr. Rao intervened. Put them in adjacent beds. They're not letting go anyway. So they lay side by side, hands clasped between the beds while the medical team worked. Burns on Raph's arms where the suit had failed. Exhaustion lines etched deep in Selhira's face, but alive. both alive. "Your hair is standing up again," Selhira said, her voice barely above a whisper. Raph managed a tired laugh. "Think it's permanent this time?" "Maybe. Could be your signature look." "Great. I'll start a trend." A nurse tried to separate their hands to place an IV. Both patients held tighter. "Just work around it," Dr. Rao ordered. The scans came back. Raph had second-degree burns and electrical trauma to his nervous system, but nothing permanent. Selhira's bioenergy core had nearly burned out, pushed far beyond anything considered safe, but was stabilizing. Against all odds, against all projections, they were both going to be fine. "Impossible," Dr. Rao muttered, reviewing the data. "Completely impossible. You should both be dead or permanently damaged. But you're healing, already healing faster than models predicted." "We're stubborn," Raph said. "Apparently." She pulled up a chair beside them. "Corporate is going insane. The data from your discharge is beyond anything they imagined. You didn't just survive, Selhira. You channeled energy that should have vaporized you. And you, Raph. You were at ground zero of a discharge that measured over 900%. You experienced electrical trauma that would kill most people. Yet here you are, making jokes about your hair. What can I say? I'm an overachiever." Selhira squeezed his hand weakly. "He's an idiot." "That too." Dr. Rao's expression softened. "You saved each other out there. You know that, right? Selhira, without Raph anchoring you, you would have cascaded and died. Raph, without Selhira directing the energy away from you, the discharge would have killed you instantly. You worked in perfect synchronization, like you've been doing it for years, not weeks." "Feels like years," Selhira said quietly. "Good years or bad years?" Raph asked. "Good. Mostly good." She looked at him. "Definitely good." Marlowe appeared in the doorway, hesitant. "Can I come in?" "Yeah," Selhira said. "Come in." He approached slowly, looking uncomfortable. "I just wanted to say, what you did out there was incredible, both of you. I've worked maintenance for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like it." "Thanks for the upgraded collectors," Raph said. "They held." "Barely. We're going to need to replace most of them. You burned through safety margins I didn't know we had." Marlowe looked at Selhira. "I'm sorry. For before. For being afraid and letting that fear turn into cruelty. You deserved better. You're helping now. That's what matters." He nodded, still uncomfortable with forgiveness, and left. Hours passed. The storm outside continued, but its fury was diminished. Selhira had drained a significant portion of its energy, creating a calm corridor through the magnetic chaos. "Station-wide announcement," a nurse said, turning up the wall screen. Corporate spokeswoman, pristine in her uniform, appeared. "Today, Calyx V witnessed an unprecedented demonstration of L-near capabilities. Asset E447, now designated Conduit Primary Selhira, successfully managed a catastrophic magnetic storm while maintaining full safety protocols. This breakthrough will revolutionize our understanding of bioenergy management. The station extends its gratitude for her service." The feed cut. "Conduit Primary," Selhira repeated. "Not asset, not experimental. Progress," Raph said. "Still not calling you a person, but progress." "Actually," Dr. Rao interjected, pulling up a new file. "There's more. Corporate sent updated classifications. Selhira, you're no longer listed as experimental. You're designated as critical station infrastructure now. Protective class. They can't dispose of you or force testing. You're too valuable. I'm still property, though. For now. But it's a significant improvement, and there's a provision. You're assigned a permanent technical support specialist, someone who understands your unique requirements and has demonstrated exceptional capability in high-stress situations." She smiled. "They're offering Raph a promotion and permanent assignment. If he wants it." Raph looked at Selhira. "Do you want it? Do I want you as my officially assigned walking partner?" Yeah, means I'd be stuck with you, every day, probably for years. Sounds awful, she said, but she was smiling. Yes, I want it. Then I accept. Dr. Rao pulled out a tablet. Sign here, Raf. Makes it official. He signed without reading the details. Didn't need to. Whatever it said, he was committed. Over the next few days, they healed. Raf's burns faded to pink scars that would eventually disappear. Selhira's core stabilized at new, higher baseline. She could handle more energy now, channel it more efficiently. Side effect of pushing past your limits, Dr. Rao explained. Your capacity increased, not by much but significantly. So I'm more dangerous? No, more capable. There's a difference. On the 5th day, Raf was cleared for light duty. On the 6th, Selhira was approved for supervised walks. On the 7th, they stood in the prep room again, suits on, ready to go outside. Nervous? Raf asked. Terrified. You? Same, but that's normal now. They cycled through the airlock. The catwalk had been repaired, the collectors replaced with even better models. The storm had passed, leaving clear space and calm magnetic fields. Selhira took a deep breath of recycled suit air. It's quiet. Nice quiet or scary quiet? Nice, definitely nice. She started walking. Raf fell into step beside her. Their rhythm matched perfectly, practiced through 17 walks before and one impossible storm. At the first discharge point, Selhira's panels glowed green, healthy, controlled. How does it feel? Raf asked. Like breathing. Like it's supposed to be. She smiled up at him. You're still here. Where else would I be? Smart people would have run by now. Lucky for you, I'm not smart people. They continued the walk. The gas giant rotated peacefully overhead, its storms visible but distant. Beautiful without being threatening. Raf? Selhira said at the 3rd point. Yeah? Thank you. For staying. For believing. For being stupid enough to hold on to someone who was literally exploding. Any time. Well, hopefully not any more times. Let's avoid the exploding thing from now on. She laughed, and the sound was free in a way it hadn't been before. Lighter, less weighted with fear. Also, she continued, thank you for seeing me. Not Asset 447 or the dangerous alien or the walking bomb, just me. That's all you ever were. Took everyone else too long to notice. At the 5th point, their last for the day, Selhira stood after discharge and looked at the view. The station sprawled behind them, lights glowing warmly inside the domes. Ahead, the void of space and the swirl of stars. I used to think I'd die here, she said. Alone eventually, when I became too much trouble. Now I think maybe I get to live here instead. Definitely live. No dying allowed. I have a strict no-dying policy for my walking partners. Good policy, she turned to him. Ready to head back? Always. But there's one thing first. What? Raf reached up, unsealed his helmet just long enough to tilt it back slightly. Selhira's eyes went wide. What are you doing? That's against protocol. Creating a better protocol. He gestured. Your turn. Just for a second. She hesitated, then lifted her helmet back. The cold hit immediately, sharp and breathtaking. Raf stepped close, rested his forehead against hers. Skin to skin, no barriers. A tiny static spark jumped between them. Neither pulled away. Hi, he said. Hi yourself. Her breath ghosted in the thin air. Just wanted to do that once, without glass between us. Raf, we're going to get frostbite. Worth it. They sealed their helmets again, headed back to the airlock. Inside, removing their suits, Selhira's hands were shaking. Still scared? Raf asked. No. Happy. I think that's what this is. Happy. First time? In a long time. Maybe ever. She looked at him. Is this what normal feels like? If it is, I'm a fan. They were walking toward the exit when Dr. Rao intercepted them. Before you go, there's something you should know. Corporate received over 50 messages from other stations. They want to study your techniques. They want to know how you did what you did. The storm management? Selhira asked. No, the partnership, the trust, the way you work together. Dr. Rao smiled. Congratulations. You've started a revolution in how people think about Aelnir and human cooperation. There are already requests to replicate your approach at other facilities. That's... Raf searched for words. Terrifying? Selhira supplied. I was going to say important. But yeah, also terrifying. You don't have to do anything beyond your jobs here, Dr. Rao assured them. But I thought you should know. You changed something, not just for Selhira, but potentially for every Aelnir working under corporate oversight. After she left, Selhira and Raf stood in the corridor. Did we just accidentally start a movement? Raf asked. Apparently, by being stubborn idiots who refuse to follow protocol. Best kind of revolution. They walked back to their quarters. At Selhira's door, she paused. Same time tomorrow? She asked. Always. I'll go with you. She smiled, the expression transforming her face. I know. 3 weeks later, Calix V had settled into a new normal. Selhira no longer walked alone. Sometimes it was Raf. Sometimes it was Marlowe who'd requested training as backup support. Once it was Dr. Rao herself who wanted to understand the protocols firsthand. But mostly, it was Raf. Morning, he said, arriving at the prep room to find Selhira already suiting up. Morning, ready for walk 43? Is it 43 already? We should get a cake or something, celebrate the milestone. Humans celebrate everything with food. It's one of our best qualities. He pulled on his suit. Any preferences for today's route? The long loop? I want to check the new collectors on the south platform. You just want to look at the sunrise. That too. They walked through the now familiar routine. Suit check, safety lines, airlock cycle. Outside, the gas giant glowed in the distance, but a new sight dominated the horizon. A sunrise. Real sunlight cresting over the moon's curve, painting the metal catwalks in shades of gold and pink. Worth the early start? Raf asked. Absolutely. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. This had become their rhythm. Sometimes talking, sometimes quiet, always together. At the second discharge point, Selhira's panels showed solid green throughout. Perfect control. Dr. Rao had been right. The storm had changed her capacity, but more importantly, it had changed her confidence. Got a message from Station 7 yesterday, Selhira said. They have an Aelnir worker there, Storm Soul, young, scared, not managing well. And they asked if we'd consider doing a remote consultation, share our protocols, maybe even visit to demonstrate technique. What did you tell them? That I'd ask my partner. She looked at him. What do you think? I think if we can help someone else not be alone, we should. Raf paused. But only if you're comfortable with it. I'm terrified of it, but I'm doing it anyway. Seems to be my new thing. Fear and doing it anyway. Very human of you, she laughed. I've been contaminated by your species. There are worse fates. At the third point, Selhira's discharge was smooth and controlled. No panic, no fear, just practiced competence. You know what's weird? She said. I used to count the days until something would go wrong. Now I count the walks we complete successfully. It's a better kind of counting. Much better numbers, too. They reached the south platform as the sun fully cleared the horizon. The view was spectacular. Metal and stars and light combining into something almost artistic. Can I ask you something personal? Selhira said. Always. Do you ever regret it? Volunteering that first day? Your life would be simpler without me. Raf considered the question seriously. My life would be quieter, probably safer. Definitely less likely to involve electrical storms or corporate protocols. But simpler? No. Better doesn't mean simpler. Even with all the complications? Especially with the complications, The complicated parts are what make it matter. He finished his equipment check. Besides, who wants simple? Simple is boring. Most people want boring. Then most people are missing out. At the final discharge point, Selhira knelt for the last time. Her panels glowed steadily. Healthy, stable, safe. Completed, she announced. Another successful walk. Raf logged the data. 43 down. How many more do you think? Hundreds? Thousands? However many it takes. I'll be here for all of them. She stood, looked at him seriously. You don't have to promise that. Things change. People change. You might get a better opportunity somewhere else. Might, but I won't take it. He met her eyes. I'm committed to this. To you. To whatever we're building here. I don't know what to call it yet, but I know it matters. We barely know each other, really. 3 weeks before the storm, 3 weeks after. Some people you know forever and never understand. Others you know 6 weeks and can't imagine not knowing. He smiled. You're the second kind. Selhira reached out, took his hand through their gloves. No shock, just warmth and the pressure of contact. Thank you, she said quietly, for everything, for seeing past what I am to who I am, for staying when anyone sane would run, for being human in all the best ways. What are the best ways? Stubborn, optimistic, impossibly kind even when it's inconvenient. She squeezed his hand, willing to walk with someone everyone else avoids. They stood there for a moment, watching the sun paint colors across Calyx V's surface. We should head back, Raf finally said. Dr. Rao wanted to review the consultation proposal with us. Right. Work. Being responsible adults. Terrible, isn't it? The worst. They walked back along the catwalk, their steps synchronized without thought. Behind them, the sun continued rising. Ahead, the station waited with its routines and complications and possibilities. In the medical bay, Dr. Rao had news. Station 7 approved the consultation. They want you there in 2 weeks. A 3-day visit to assess their situation and train their staff. Both of us? Selhira asked. They specifically requested the team. They don't want just protocols. They want to see how you work together. Dr. Rao pulled up a map. It's a significant trip. Different sector, different oversight structure, but potentially high impact. There are 5 more Aelnir in that sector, all struggling with similar issues. Raf and Selhira exchanged glances. We'll do it, Selhira said. If Raf agrees. Of course I agree. Road trip. Should be interesting. You'll need to prepare presentations, document your procedures, create training materials. Dr. Rao trailed off at their expressions. What? Nothing. Just funny, Raf said. 6 weeks ago I was trying to figure out how to avoid responsibility. Now I'm volunteering to teach people how to manage dangerous energy fields. Character growth, Selhira offered. Terrible. I liked being irresponsible. Liar. After the meeting, they went to the observation lounge, the same one where they'd spent the night before the storm. It felt different now, less ominous, more peaceful. Can you believe we're doing this? Selhira asked. Consulting, teaching, being the experienced team. It's surreal, but good surreal. She leaned against the window, watching station traffic move past. Do you think they'll listen? The people at Station 7? If they're smart, if they're not, we'll make them listen. Very human. Convinced through persistence. It works more often than you'd think. He joined her at the window. Nervous about it? Yes, but excited too. Maybe I can help someone else not be alone. That would be worth the anxiety. That's very you, wanting to help even when it's hard. It's too. They stood in comfortable quiet for a while. Then Selhira said, I used to think I was dangerous, something to be locked away or destroyed before I hurt someone. Now I think maybe I was just waiting for someone to show me I could be something else. You were always something else. You just needed someone to see it. You saw it. I saw you. There's a difference. She turned to face him fully. "Raph, I need to tell you something. I don't know what this is, what we are, but whatever it is, it matters to me. More than I thought anything could matter. You've given me hope, purpose, a future I want to see. That's not nothing. It's definitely not nothing." He took her hands. "I don't know what we are either. Walking partners, friends, something more, something undefined. But I know I want to keep figuring it out, with you, for as long as you'll have me. That might be a very long time." "Good. I like long-term plans." They stood there, hands linked, watching Calyx V rotate beneath them. Somewhere below, people went about their lives, unaware of the small revolution happening in this lounge. The revolution of seeing someone, really seeing them, and choosing to stay. Later in the cafeteria, Marlowe waved them over. "Heard about Station 7, that's big." "Yeah," Raph agreed. "Didn't expect to become a consultant this fast. You've got something they need, a system that works. More importantly, proof that Aelnir and humans can work together as partners, not just handlers and assets." Marlowe looked at Selhira. "You've changed a lot of minds here, mine included. People are starting to think differently." "About Aelnir?" Selhira asked. "About connection, trust. What's possible when you stop seeing people as problems and start seeing them as people?" He stood. "Anyway, just wanted to say good luck, and thank you, for showing us a better way." After he left, Selhira stared at her food. Did Marlowe just thank us for teaching him about humanity? I think he did. That's the weirdest thing that's happened this month, and we survived a catastrophic storm discharge. Humans are complicated. We contain multitudes. You really do. That night, Raph lay in his bunk thinking about the past 6 weeks. How a simple decision, an impulse to help someone who needed it, had changed everything. Jen and Martinez would never know, but they'd have approved. They'd always believed in helping people. Maybe that was the point. Not to live without making mistakes, but to keep trying to do good despite them. His comm chimed. Message from Selhira. "Can't sleep. Too many thoughts about Station 7. He smiled, typed back. "Same. Want to meet in the observation lounge?" "Already here." He found her curled in the same seat as that night before the storm, but her posture was different. Less hunched with fear, more relaxed with contemplation. "Hey," he said, sitting beside her. "Hey yourself. Couldn't stop thinking about those 5 Aelnir at Station 7. What if we can't help them? What if our approach doesn't work for everyone? Then we try something else. We adapt. We figure it out. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, but it's worth doing anyway." He looked at her. "You know what I think? I think you're scared because you care. You want to help them so badly that the possibility of failing terrifies you. That's not weakness, that's compassion. Compassion is exhausting." "Yeah, but it's also what makes us human." "Well, you're not technically human, but you've got the spirit." She laughed softly. "I've been contaminated." Thoroughly. They sat in silence, watching the stars. Finally, Selhira said, "Thank you. For that first day. For saying yes when everyone else said no. For walking with me when you had every reason to run. For staying through the complications and the fear and the corporate protocols. For seeing me." "I'll go with you," Raph said simply. "That hasn't changed. Station 7, Station 70, wherever you need to go. However many walks it takes, I'm going with you." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Best decision you ever made?" "Without question. Even though it's complicated. Especially because it's complicated. The complicated parts are what make it matter." Outside the window, Calyx V rotated peacefully. The storms had passed. New ones would come eventually. But for now, there was calm and companionship, and the simple certainty of having someone to walk with. In the prep room the next morning, they suited up for Walk 44. "Ready?" Raph asked. "Always. You?" "Same as every day. Scared, excited, committed. Good combination." They cycled through the airlock. The catwalk stretched ahead, familiar now, safe. Selhira paused at the threshold, looked back at Raf. "What?" he asked. "Nothing, just thinking. A few weeks ago I used to stand here alone, wondering if anyone would come. Now I don't even question it. You're just here. That's the plan. Be here. Keep being here. Stubbornly, consistently, here. Best kind of stubborn." They walked out into the light, two figures on a metal catwalk above an alien moon, practicing the revolutionary act of walking together. Behind them, a station full of people who were learning, slowly, that the most dangerous things about us might also be the things that save us, if we let someone walk beside us while we learn control. Far above, on Station 7, a young Elnir woman sat alone in a prep room, waiting for a companion who never came, unaware that help was already on its way. Help in the form of a stubborn human and an impossibly kind storm soul who'd learned that the bravest thing you can do is simple. Walk with someone. Stay with them. See them. And when everyone else runs, stand still and say, "I'll go with you." Because sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. Sometimes that's all it takes to save the world. In the end, maybe the real miracle wasn't that a fragile alien survived a storm that should have erased her from existence, or that a stubborn human walked straight into the jaws of physics like it owed him rent, but that two beings, built from different elements and different histories, chose to stand still instead of run. Sometimes the universe doesn't change because someone is strong, but because someone stays. And maybe that's the most human thing we ever do, refuse to abandon each other when logic, statistics, and common sense are all begging us to run for our lives. But what about you? What would you have done on that catwalk? Stepped forward, stepped back, or frozen somewhere in between? Who in your life has been your anchor when everything felt like it was about to overload? And perhaps the hardest question of all, when have you been someone else's lightning rod? Not because you were fearless, but because you cared anyway. If you made it all the way here, through storms, sparks, questionable decisions, and enough static electricity to power a small coffee machine, write the symbolic word Anchor in the comments so I know you walked the whole path with us. Tell me your city, subscribe if this journey felt like something worth staying for, hit like to feed the algorithmic storm gods, hype this story so others can find it, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that connection is a kind of bravery. And now, go tap the next video that's appearing on your screen. The story continues up there.